System Shock 2 Fiction by Ken Levine. Copyright 1999. Irrational Games. Read to you by ShephardReborn. Part 3. The UNN Senate Subcommittee was hastily assembled. Senator Cole McGill was elected the chairman. Cole McGill had been on Korenchkin's payroll since she was a freshman. The committee was comprised of 16 members. 7 were senators, 4 were scientists, 1 was an economist, and 4 were senior officers from the upper echelons of the UNN military. Korenchkin himself was merely an observer to the proceedings. Neither was Delacroix nor Diego, but they both were on a rooster to testify. Korenchkin would have preferred Diego not to participate, but that was something he could not control. After all, Diego had propped himself up as more force of a nature than a man. The Battle of Boston Harbor, or more accurately, the media coverage of the battle, had made him a national hero. A doomed uprising carried out by a badly led and under-equipped insurgency against a well-financed, numerically superior and ruthless military force. However, the media portrayed it as anything but a foregone conclusion, and thus Diego came out a hero. The insurgency, led by a band of tech-nostalgic teenagers, was put down in 3 weeks, and the Confederation laid waste to a good portion of downtown Boston, Charlestown, and Cambridge. But in the end, it was Diego who kept the peace, who restored order and oversaw the executions of the ringleaders. In the subcommittee meeting room, Korenchkin watched Diego as he moved toward his seat, shaking hands with military colleagues and some gushing politicos. He nodded at Delacroix, and Anatoly felt a slight flush at this. After all, Delacroix was his pet. He had found her, nurtured her talent, and provided her the means to do the kind of work that led to Sarah. And here she was, nodding at Diego, holding not-so-secret meetings with the son of a bitch on the picturesque New England coastlines. Where was the honor due him, the man who had made her? Ah, the meeting. He knew well of it. How his spies must have rubbed elbows with Diego's operatives as they shared a mutual orbit around the tete-a-tete. Diego had wanted him to know of the meeting. If he hadn't, Korenchkin never would have heard of it. Diego had the best men and the best toys. He could not be outmaneuvered when it came to subterfuge. The proceedings were on the surface mind-numbingly dull. Lots of very long-winded scientists stiltedly reading prepared statements, independent confirmation of Delacroix's work. A woman named Dr. Janice Polito was one of the rare high points, a touch of drama. She had written a number of famous papers on artificial intelligence, most of them in the clenched teeth, hand-wringing style so popular in the neo-Luddite community. Polito. In Dr. Delacroix's native tongue, there is prévoir and devoir. In English, there is can and must. They're two very different words, and when it comes to building technology, we must not confuse the meaning of these verbs. Sarah can be built. She will crack open the galaxy. She will eliminate mystery from the universe. I realize that's a pretty esoteric argument against building a faster-than-light capable device, but let me bring it down to earth a little. We have no idea what Sarah will do. Just to make her work at all, we will need to, and in fact have already begun to, resurrect the form of computing power that gave us Shodan. Conventional, non-personality AI cannot make the kind of leaps necessary on this schedule. In order to build the kind of technology we really don't understand, we must harness technology that we really don't trust. Cole McGill, the chairman of the subcommittee and the most expensive line item on Anatoly's payroll at the entire hearing, leaned forward in her chair. Dr. Polito, Isn't this exactly the kind of challenge that you created the Xerxes prototype to face? Color drained from Polito's face, as if she had been slapped. She looked sideways at Delacroix, her face saying, "How did they?" She looked back at the senator. "How do you know about Xerxes? That is private work, with no—" The senator tapped a screen in front of her, and 3D image appeared on a large display above the floor. It was a render of a striking bald man, with supernaturally blue eyes. "Good afternoon," said the personality in a clipped English tone. "I am Xerxes 453-RT4B3. Delacroix began to protest, but the committee chairman gavelled her out. "Dr. Polito, Dr. Delacroix, sit down." After some time, when the room quieted down, they did as the chairman ordered. Xerxes, Dr. Polito's prototype personality, hung in the air over them, a silent presence. The chairman continued. "Dr. Polito, you came before us, ringing the chimes of doom, while simultaneously constructing the very kinds of artificial intelligence you warn us against. How, Doctor, do you reconcile this position?" Polito did not speak. Delacroix wanted to turn to Diego to receive some sign that everything was okay. Everything was still going according to plan. But she dared not. Korenchkin would surely notice. In her mind he remained ignorant of her alliance with the UNN. Polito stammered. "I am not as naive as this committee might think. Progress happens. Inertia takes the day, but if progress will happen, it should occur irresponsibly, with forethought, and with humility. Yes, I am building something that is smarter than all of us. We are the rabbit who chooses to build the fox. If I didn't believe that, I would have finished the Xerxes prototype 6 years ago." Development time on this prototype was 1/3 AI routines and 2/3 restraint and containment protocols. If, and only if I and my colleagues are convinced that Xerxes is secure, would I ever consider authorization of actual production models. Hubbub, noise, shouts. Polito escorted out. More testimony. Days pass. Decision. Call McGill. The future happens. As we've seen these last few days, the hand-wringlers arrogantly condemn technology while clandestinely spearheading its development. However, while technology may be inevitable, it must not be rushed. To this end, and in lengthy deliberation with extended consultation with Captain Diego and his task force, this committee recommends the following. The recommendation took over 40 minutes to read. It was filled with hedging, well-worded language, and a fair amount of irrelevant riders. But at root, it allowed an additional 3 months of development time of Sarah before reaching a finished prototype by 2112. The production of the first FTL-capable starship would begin in early 2113. Delacroix was speechless. Polito was perhaps in tears, but Delacroix couldn't tell for sure. 3 months! Diego had promised her 5 years. Did she underestimate his influence? Were the events spiraling even out of his control? The chairman continued. Furthermore, the maiden voyage of said starship shall occur with the full cooperation and participation of the UNN military arm, such endeavor to be personally supervised by Captain Diego himself. This participation will include comprehensive military escort of the mission, military approval of key civilian personnel, military... She continued on for another 20 minutes. Delacroix sat outside the chamber. She was numb. She wasn't aware that Anatoly Korenchkin had joined her on a bench until she heard his voice. "What were you trying to accomplish, Mary?" Did you really think he would play it straight with you? Don't feel too abused. I didn't win this one either. I won't finish her. It's over. Oh, Mary, you've already done the hard parts. But now you must come along and make sure little Sarah plays nice. Without you, who would stand between her and the egomaniacs like Diego and the ruthless capitalists at Triop? She said nothing. You know, I really don't know why you dislike me so much, Mary. At least you know what I am. I imagine that must provide some degree of comfort. He patted her on the knee, got up, and walked away. Watching him go patter down the corridor, he looked oddly deflated. An old man, very alone in the world, never really winning, never really losing. She stood up, waited for him to reach a comfortable distance, and then walked away from the committee room. It was time to get back to work. Sarah was waiting. This is the end of part 3. The final part, for that matter. Go ahead and put a comment below if you like, and for all new viewers, subscribe to this channel. I'm making those to bring you guys some System Shock related content in between my ordinary pacifist approach episodes, which are still coming, of course. Also, you've probably noticed the difference in quality. I bought a new microphone recently. For anyone interested, it is the M-Audio USB producer, and I'm so far quite pleased with it. Since I got such a wonderful equipment, I might as well record some more of these. If anyone knows any acclaimed piece of fanfiction or any sort of story that is worth reading, I may try audiobooking it for people to listen. But the next big thing coming from this segment is the Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, which is amongst my favorite short novels. Plus it's in a public domain, so low risk of copyright issues, I think. I hope some of you will be interested in hearing such narrations, and of course, thank you for listening. See you next time then. ShephardReborn out.